Okay, here we go. Yirches Amid Beis. 2 lines from the bottom. Itmar. Sikech al gabe achsadra. Someone puts schach on top of the achsadra. What's an achsadra? Achsadra are those porches, pavilion areas. Again, we have a 3-walled courtyard, we could call it, with porches on 3 walls, and you lay down schach. So, for example, here's one porch on one side, here's another porch on another side, and in between, you lay down schach. Azoi. That was such a beautiful picture. That was Meridik. Look at that. See that? Isn't that amazing? That's a Yom Tov. Meridik. Continues the Gemara. But guess what? Sheesh lo petzimin. There are petzimin. Mazeh petzimin. Just close the chalon in case anyone comes later. You know, not that it keeps it warm, but yeah. Sheesh lo petzimin. It has columns, pillars coming off the porch. Says the Braisa, Ksheira. She'ein lo psimin. If there are no pillars, Abaya Amar Ksheira v'Rava Amar Psula. Says the Gemara, Abaya Amar Ksheira. Why does Abaya say Ksheira even without pillars coming down? Because Amrina on the top of Yechesem and Beis Pitikra Yarid V'Soiseim. We say Pitikra. What's Pitikra? Pitikra is an imaginary wall that the edge comes down and creates a wall. Rava Amar Psula. Why? A very simple machlekes, excuse me. Rava says to Abaya, Lididach. According to you, the Amr that you hold Pitikra Yared V'Saisem, Afilu Hivchis Doifenem Soi, even if the middle wall is missing. If we're saying Pitikra for allowing imaginary walls to fall down, so even if there's no middle wall, we should still have a kosher sukkah, because we have these top areas, and the edge should come down and should create a sukkah. Can you just pass the picture book for a moment, please? Thank you. Just I think this is shtickle visual. Words aren't working. Visual. I had some bad words this week. Visualization. Okay. So afilu hevches doifenim sai. This is what we wanted to show. Is machlek. So first of all, over here, this is your psimin. This is your pillars coming down off the achsadra. But the point over here is, says the Gemara, afilu hevches doifenim sai. So either it means like this. You have a classical 2-walled sukkah, and a 2-walled sukkah should still be kosher. Why? Because the edge of the schach should be allowed to come down. That's one way. That's the way Rashi learns it. Taisus learns it more in the same case, meaning in the porch case area. Why do we need the psimin on all 3 walls? Just make it that the middle wall is open. That's the Gemara's kasha. Responds Abaya, Omar Lei. Says Abaye, Medina l'chabahi. If the middle wall is missing, that I admit to you is a problem. Why? Ta'havalei kimavui hamifulash. Because then it's like a mavui hamifulash. What's a mavui hamifulash? Mavui hamifulash is when you have 2 walls on your mavui, and it's open to a street on both sides. This is a classical, street that goes between 2 avenues. I never figured out lavish. I still haven't. But, like a street that goes through 2 sides. So there are 2 walls. There are no walls, but let's pretend. There are 2 walls on the sides of the street, but they both sides open to a Rosh Hashanah. So says Abaye, if your sukkah has 2 walls, but it's open to both ends, what's going to happen? People walk straight through your sukkah. Says Abaye, that I am asking, we wouldn't say Pi Tekra. So says the Gemara, okay, so what does it sound like? Sounds like Lema Abaye v'Rava b'plukta the Rav Shmuel kamifliki. Sounds like Abaye and Rava are arguing the same as Rav and Shmuel. 5 lines from the bottom, the Itmars we learned. Achsadra. If we have a pavilion bebika that's in a valley, Rav Amar, and now we're in Shabbos mode. So you have a pavilion. Pavilion just means like a cover. You have a roof, basically like a carport garage. I think that's what they're called. Basically, you just have the top part of it. A canopy matzif. So says, are you allowed to carry underneath there on Shabbos? Shabbos, you need to have walls. But says Rav, guess what? Mutter l'taltel b'kulai. you're still allowed to carry inside. Why? Says Rav, we have imaginary walls that fall off. If this was over my head, according to Rav, the walls would come down over the side, and then you're allowed to carry underneath it, because we say Pitikra. Ushmul Amar, Ein Metaltlin Ba. You're not allowed to carry in it. Ella Dalid Amois. Only 4 Amois. Why? So asks the Gemara, is this machlekes Abaye and Rava the same machlekes as Rav and Shmuel, a classical machlekes of Pitikra? But now let's just, before we see the answer, we could just objectively understand there are 2 different worlds. One is a sukkah, one is carrying on Shabbos. So we already, which we've had these comparisons prior already, so we already could start conjuring up differences. Says the Gemara, Aliba de Shmuel, according to Shmuel, who said that you're not allowed to carry under the pavilion on Shabbos. Kuli amalei pliki. Everyone agrees with Shmuel that with regard to Shabbos, you cannot carry. On the top of your Testament Aleph, keep ligi. When is there a machlek? Thought I went through the floor. I sort of did. Okay, should not have moved. I'm stuck. I'm stuck. Okay, this is odd. Okay. There we go. Keep ligi. Aliba de Rav. When's the machlekes? According to Rav. Again, Rav said you could, yes, carry. You have this carport garage. You have this roof on top. You know walls. Says Rav, you can carry underneath there on Shabbos. Why? Because we say Pitikra, we think. So says the Gemara, Abaye kirav. That's very simple. Why does Abaye hold like Rav? Because we say Pitikra. Virava amer lecha. But what about Rava? Rava said we don't say Pitikra. So how is Rava going to agree with Rav that you're allowed to carry on Shabbos? Ad kan lo amar Rav hasam. In which case did Rav say his din? When you're underneath that roof. Why? Because the roof is made for where? The area underneath it. So the mechitzos, the imaginary walls that come off that roof, are for what? Are for the inside. Aval hacha, let's go back. In our case of our imaginary walls of our sukkah, where were the walls made for? It wasn't made for the outside. It was made for the houses. It was made, for example, if this area over here, if we were to have a porch over us, so this is made for the house, not for the other side. So says the Gemara, yeah.
If in theory, in this case over here,
yeah,
that it wasn't the sort of, not, if this was straight Rosh Hashanah,
yeah,
they hold that you'd be able to carry underneath here.
That's what it would sound like. Right? That's what it would sound like. In a Chanami, correct. Meaning, with regard to Shabbos, we're
saying P-Tikra.
Yes.
It's not my Tikra.
It just depends on what it's made for, exactly. If you have an area that the roof is made for underneath it, an awning, a massive umbrella, then we say P-Tikra. But now if you have an area that it's not made for, because here we have a porch. Just imagine if you walk under someone's porch and you look up, is that ceiling made for you? No. That ceiling is made for the porch on top of you. And the what?
What's the difference?
Because who are the walls made for? That's the chalik.
What's the difference? If you have 2 walls that are two houses, two other people, you put stocks on.
No, you're asking a good question.
Imaginary walls, so we have to say where are they coming from?
What's the difference? If you could make imaginary walls, you can make imaginary walls. If you can't, you can't.
No. What you're asking is, well, let me explain. You're asking. It's Allah Moshe. Now you make walls. Kol tov. Go jump in the lake. Good. So the Gemara is really answering.
We're not stop making walls.
You're right.
Again, is the side of Pitikra?
Let's look at Rashi. Well, let's look at Rashi. Let's look at Rashi first, and then we can discuss it. Rashi, it's late. Rashi, 2 lines down from the top. The mechitis. Pitikra zeh l'shem achsad jonasa lias loy mechitza lechalal zeh. It's not making a wall for the outside air. So now, let me explain. We, for example, had the sugya of psal, and we said in that sugya that maybe the chiddush was that the walls aren't made for it. So there is a level in the world of sukkah that we want the walls to be created for your sukkah. So over here, when the walls are not for the outside, the walls are for the inside, that's when you run into an issue. So you're right. What you're asking is if there's an imaginary wall and you can carry there, comes out a massive chiddush, which is what Rav Noach is pointing out. For Shabbos purposes, it would sound like you'd be able to carry there. But for sukkah purposes, there's more of a shame wall, maybe. I think rather it's a machlek. It's just I don't want to get things confusing. That's one way of learning the Gemara. There's another way of learning the Gemara that it's not a chiluk between Shabbos and Sukkah, just a chiluk in cases. What is the roof made for? When the roof is made for the underneath, it's underneath. When the roof is made for the outside, it's for the outside. But that is the chiluk, and that is where we're going to call it a week. Well, what's the story? Next week the chaver's around, or we're in Pesach cleaning mode? Pesach packing mode, I'm sorry. Yeah, we're around. Okay, good. No, because we have another blot and a half. I would love to try to finish for Yantiv, and then we're doing the plan is Bays to Yud Bays over Sukkot, 10 blot.
Anything where it's also or
Oh, it's good that you both hopped right away. Very good.